The Old Man and the Forest. I love extreme recreation. Once I gathered an expedition of 12 people, and we, having collected all the necessary provisions, set off on our way. At the edge of the forest, we met a talkative old man. We decided to stop for a camping. No one has ever gotten out of this forest, neither alive nor dead. Even during the blockade, an entire village went into this darkness, escaping from the bombing. Apparently, another misfortune overtook them. Although salvation in the forest was quite reasonable, there was no food then, but you could live for weeks on berries alone. But not there. The old man thought about something, and we sat as if bewitched, waiting for the continuation of the story. At that moment, it was as if we were not listening to the silence, but it was listening to us. Then voices began to be heard from the forest. He continued. Someone recognized their sons, mothers, brothers in them. They ran headlong to help, and they knew that they would perish. Well, what would you do if you heard a cry for help from someone you love? We thought about it. Oh, the old man drawled, that's it. But they weren't thinking. They were just running. You shouldn't have come here, guys, but if you hear anything, don't move from your place. You'll last until the morning, and then I won't let you in. The old man barked angrily and wandered off to a low house behind us. A kerosene lamp was burning on its porch, giving us some sense of safety and comfort. We settled down in our tents. In the morning, I was awakened by a jolt. What are you sleeping for? Get up. My friend's frightened face appeared in the opening of my tent. There's something there. Hurriedly dressed, I left the tent and saw a group of guys standing there. They were actively discussing something, gesturing with their hands, pointing towards the forest. What happened? I asked in a sleepy voice. Look, said my friend and pointed towards the forest. What I saw was difficult to describe. The wall of the forest, or rather the part that was closer to us, had moved apart. That is, the trees formed a huge letter V. He is not there. We went there, checked, someone said. I think he. Before I could finish speaking, muffled shots were heard from the forest, like from a gun, only from before the war. That was exactly what the old man had. Everyone stood in a daze. Everyone at once remembered his words, don't move from the spot. It seemed that the beating of the heart drowned out the sounds of the wind in the ears. What was strange, the birds did not sing. I immediately remembered the previous night. There was not a single mosquito, not a single cricket that would disturb this silence. And now, another shot, closer, followed by a wild, chilling roar. It was so close that it seemed to be hidden only by a small group of trees standing like a wall in front of us, as if the forest was releasing something. Run! It didn't matter who shouted. Before I could even come to my senses, I was running among the entire crowd, and seeing the faces of those who turned towards the forest, which reflected genuine horror. I was already cursing the day when I had assembled this damn expedition and the will of chance that had brought us to these places. The next moment, the ground under my feet began to shake, as if under the stomping of a huge, heavy monster. My heart was jumping from my throat to my heels and back again. The trees behind me began to crack, as if some violent force were breaking them. When you know what you're dealing with, it's much easier to assess the situation. But we didn't even know where to run and what exactly we were running from. At that moment, the old man's house to our left exploded into splinters. Debris, glass and broken furniture were flying at us. Some people fell to the ground, but no one waited for anyone else. Everyone was saving their own skins. What would you have done? Look! Someone screamed through tears. Pushing the branches aside, I saw the following picture from the forest, the edge of which was about 100 meters from us. Either vines or roots were very quickly stretching out, roughly speaking. They were some kind of dark green tentacles. They deftly wrapped themselves around those poor fellows lying down and just as quickly dragged them back into the forest. They were no longer screaming, they were probably unconscious or, "Yeah, I've never seen anything like this," said a familiar voice behind us. The same old man who had disappeared stood with his gun at the ready and looked at the guys who had just been dragged away by the forest itself. "You?" my friend asked with sincere amazement. "We even calmed down a little when we saw him. Get up. We have to leave." "But what about? And the things?" "Our things are still there." The tearful girl started to wail. Grandfather leaned over her. "Listen, little one. Do you really think that when you get to your tents, you'll still be alive?" "No, this is all a bad dream," I thought. I started to slap my cheeks, pinch them. But no, of course, it wasn't a dream. Having come to our senses a little, we followed the old man away from this place. Tonight, for hectares of forest burned outside the city limits of N. According to the assurances of the fire brigade that arrived at the scene, there is no threat to the city. It is reported that the fire was most likely caused by a lightning strike. The old man finally found a way to end all this.